Hey Jennifer, it's Dr. Scott. I have some feedback for you on your Essay 2 draft. Just as a reminder, the things that I'm looking at for this assignment, like the main criteria for keeping this essay on the B contract is having a thesis statement that's pretty solid and squared away, making sure that you're using details in your research, not really research, but the sources that have been provided to you, that you're using those to support that thesis statement, that you're organizing ideas and transitioning between ideas, and that organization means not just that you're grouping ideas together, but that you have a reason for why you placed ideas in the location that you have them. And then finally, I'm looking at your ability to integrate sources. So what I'm going to do is go through your essay. I have a few notes to myself that are over here on the margin, and these are just kind of scribbles to myself to remind me of things that I wanted to mention to you. So as I'm reading through this, through your essay, I think the thesis statement, it's getting there. I think it needs to be one sentence. I think for an assignment of this size, this is not a very long essay, but I think having a couple sentences for a thesis statement, it's probably more than you need. And it's not just kind of like an arbitrary, like just get it down to one sentence. The reason why I think it's helpful for you to do that is that it helps you clarify and cut ideas and words out of those sentences that are trying to summarize what the paper is doing. So it clarifies your purpose, and it makes it easier for you to connect your ideas back to the thesis statement, because the thesis statement's clear. It's easier to see what you're doing when you kind of cut some of the language out that's getting in the way. So I think the sentences need to come together in the revision. You do a solid job with detail, with describing in detail what's going on in the mural. I don't think that's the issue in your revision. I think the issue, probably the most important issue for you to address, is that you're not always explaining what those details, or how those details are related to the paragraph's overall point. So just kind of saying that the gray, white, tan, blue, red, black colors shows a hard time in caring for, and shows hard, that's a tough sentence. It shows that hard times in caring for each other in Portsmouth. And that needs to, that explanation has to happen. And I'm not exactly sure what the fix is there. I think with the hard time thing, like trying to use that for both murals, you might have a tough time with that. That caring for each other in tough times, you're going to have a hard time talking about that in the context of this. But I think you can definitely talk about togetherness in this mural. It's warm, it's inviting, it's even for like the people that are looking at the mural, it's kind of inviting them into the town at this time. They want, it kind of gets this message of togetherness, like even though we don't have a lot of people here walking the street, we are together. We've got, businesses that are doing well. We got this warm and inviting location that's set up through the colors. And I think that idea of togetherness might be the tweak that you need in the thesis statement to kind of help you bring some of these things together. So all of that is to say that, like, just kind of saying that they've got these colors and it equals this, that's not enough. And it's tough, and I'll grant you that. It'll be tough to do that. But I think it might take tweaking that thesis statement just a little bit to make it easier for you to connect some of these ideas together. Okay. Here, we have the same issue, but I have a minor issue that I wanted to bring up, and that's this word here, things. I get it, it's a pet peeve of mine, but this is an assignment where I'm asking you to describe and use good description, and that means being as specific as you can with the language that you use. So I think things, like, there's always a better alternative, and things, that's a fine word for like everyday conversations, but in your writing, step up the game a little bit and use more specific words. The more important issue, though, here is that you're not really kind of explaining how these colors here at the end, there's not enough explanation there to get you to the point where you can say with some confidence that it's doing this caring thing and helping for each other. You can definitely say that they're more positive colors, but it's a stretch at this point to say that it's doing these two things. Again, that tweak idea that I was talking about, that might be the thing to consider there, Jennifer. I think within your paragraphs, the tenant, again, you do a solid job using detail. The issue at this point is that you're kind of just stacking details together, and we're not actually getting a sense of like what those details mean and how those details relate to the paper's overall argument or the paragraph's overall point. So here you've got a string of good details, but it's like after one detail you move on to another detail and then on to another detail. There's no kind of discussion about them. I'd almost rather see you cut one or two details out of here and include more discussion about the details that you have. There's also a little bit to be said here about transitioning and organization. Maybe you can organize the details that you have in this paragraph in a way that makes it, in a way where there's a reason why. I mean, maybe it's the most important characters in that mural, because you've got you've got a lot going on in the 37th flood mural, and you can maybe be a little choosy. Maybe you don't write about every character that's in there. Maybe you write about the most important ones, or the ones that are really kind of doing different things. Like we have that center image in the rowboat, and then we have the long line of people. So we have solitary, solitude, people trying to help each other, or people demonstrating togetherness, and then we have a lot of people in one place trying to get clean water, and that's also demonstrating togetherness. So they're doing that togetherness idea in a couple different ways. So you have different ways to kind of get at that, but I think just kind of listing details, you're going to need to explain between the details, like how they're related, and then transition from one to another. Okay. And that transition might be like one way they get across the idea of togetherness or caring for each other is, through the solitary actions of one or two people in a rowboat, and then, you give us details there, and then the next thing you do is togetherness or caring for others is also done in larger groups, and we see that at the top of the mural. So you can kind of see that there are ways to transition between those ideas. Yeah, I thought like down here, this is another place where transitioning was kind of a point. I noticed that here more in this paragraph, because this is the paragraph where it really felt like it was detail stacked on detail and not really that much discussion of the details that you have. Yeah, and I mentioned the tweak idea, and that's the, I got to thinking about that down here. The togetherness and caring, you definitely got, I think you got togetherness with both murals. As far as like the caring for each other during a tragedy, you've got a tougher sell there with like the Chillicothe Street mural, the Good Times mural. So I'm thinking about like streamlining that thesis statement to clarify where the paper is going. I think that's going to be really important. Okay, that's my feedback on your draft. There's a lot going on there. You should know that this is a really solid draft. Like, you're on your way, and you should be proud of this. This is a tough assignment, and you're doing a pretty solid job. So make sure you ask me questions. Make sure you keep in touch with me as you're kind of thinking about your revision ideas, and I'm looking forward to seeing where this goes. All right, Jennifer, I'll talk to you soon.